seems to be it. Great. So we're live streaming. Welcome everyone to the OpenJS Foundation Standards Working Group bi-weekly meeting. You've got a handful of us here today. I know we've got folks out on April school vacation. We've got Leah out at the W3C tag meeting in Tokyo. So, you know, have fun, Leah. Hope you're having lots of good food. We've got a lot to do today, as we were just discussing before we turned on the live stream. We're going to do our regular business. We're going to go to private session so we can discuss making a recommendation for the Standards Pathfinder Award for the JS Landia Awards. And I just want to say thanks to everyone who sent nominations in for some really awesome people across the Standards Pathfinder Award and all the other awards that we do for JS Landia. It was a really good, I think, turnout this year, and just many thanks for that. So, okay. All right, so we are on to our regular scheduled program. We start, this is tracked in issue number 220 on our standards repo. We start, as always, with announcements. Brian just reminded me, or actually informed me, because I didn't know this, had missed this news bit. Nominations are now open for the W3C Advisory Board and will be open through May 1st. There are 6 spots that are going to be filled through that election. So I'm just putting it out to our community. If there's anyone who you feel would make a great advisory board AV member for the W3C, now is the time to talk to them about thinking about running on behalf of their organization or potentially on behalf of the OpenJS Foundation. So that's one announcement. Any other announcements from our squad today? I think the other kind of announcement-y related thing that's actually we don't really have an action for is the Secure the Web Forward workshop. We're still taking calls for papers on that. We've had some really interesting proposals so far. I think it's going to be a really cool program, but we obviously need more input from the community about things we could really dig into together at that event in London in June. So if you want to read more about what that's all about, it's on issue 213 on our repo. You can go and check it out a little bit more, but and also on there's a website link there too to learn more. So that's the Secure the Web Forward workshop, which we're doing with the W3C and OpenSSF and OWASP. So there's that one.
Just quickly, I'm trying to promote Joe into the meeting and I'm getting an error message.
Okay, let's see.
Because we have a couple of OpenJS logins.
Okay, I don't see Joe anymore. Joe is
he must maybe redialing as himself. There he is.
Joe will be rejoining. There we go. Thanks, Joe. Perfect. Wonderful. Welcome. Okay, Joe, do you have any announcements today for our group?
No,
okay.
I don't.
Oh, I have something I want to say. I was just reading that Node.js 20 is out, and I just want to say, well done. That's amazing.
Yep.
So psyched.
Yeah.
So Node.js 20, that's something to celebrate. Node.js can almost legally purchase booze. Just kidding. All right. If there are no other announcements, we'll go into our agenda. We have a couple of PRs to tackle. The first one is PR 218. This is a PR to add Voltrex or Mohammed, and I'm not going to hopefully mess up Mohammed's last name too much, Kanvazadeh to the standards working group. So Mohammed participates in I think from Iran. So not always able to participate with us on these calls, not a very convenient time, but certainly has been an active contributor to Node and present with us in our Slack channel. So any issues, this has been open for a couple weeks, any issues with welcoming Mohammed to the working group roster?
Yeah, so I'd actually spoken to them and suggested that they join the standards group. I thought I had worded it such that I suggested that they attend the calls for a bit before they file any of those PRs. I don't know if that's a strict requirement, but it's certainly been the way we've done it in the past. It hadn't occurred to me that there was a time zone conflict. So yeah, I don't have concerns exactly, but like the advice I have been giving to people and will continue to give is please attend the calls. And then at some point you may feel free to PR yourself in and so on. And to me, that serves as a important, natural, gradual on-ramp so that we don't have floods of people showing up trying to be like, I want to be in TC39 and I want to be in W3C and so on, because there's a lot of individuals that want to be in the room and aren't perhaps yet prepared to contribute meaningfully. And it's a difficult line to walk to say, like, we want to be inclusive and help people participate, but we also don't want to just like throw them into an environment they're not yet equipped to succeed in. And so that's sort of my overall thoughts around that stuff. And as it applies to Mohammed specifically, I mean, I think it's probably fine. But like, I wanted to throw it to the room here and see what people thought before that's why I didn't like stamp the PR yet.
I have thoughts, but I'd love to wait for folks to, others to weigh in first.
I think sometimes before you can meaningfully participate, just joining and listening and learning the culture, onboarding, lurking is always welcome, we always say. So, I would say all are welcome. So,
and I think Jordan's comment about, ideally we have folks come to the calls and kind of learn the ropes and meet friendly faces who can help them. In this case, we have a significant time zone challenge for this person, and that shouldn't be, a barrier to the extent that we possibly can. And I think, joining the standards working group and having these discussions with friends here is different from asking, can I go be a delegate? Can I go do this other thing?
Exactly.
So I'm inclined to, add Mohammed today and welcome, and hopefully they can join at a certain time, but otherwise happy to just try and also practice doing more asynchronously with you all so that Mohammed can participate there too. So.
Yeah, our standards Slack channel is pretty robust for people who are watching. If you don't know about that, definitely join.
Okay. Well, I'll let folks take a second and pop over and plus one if you don't mind. But then after the meeting, we'll merge this in and welcome Mohammed. Another meeting PR, another quick PR is the meeting minutes. Jory's been trying to stay on top of those now. So I'll be merging that in unless there's any questions after today. So give me your plus ones on those. The other, hopefully, again, quick, just rocketing through our open issues here. Mr. Champion had opened this number 220 on the W3C CEO search survey feedback questionnaire thing. We did fill this out with a lot of inspiration from Mike's start in the issue. But there was also some really interesting and productive, I think, additions that Leah made a little bit late. But I think it's worth maybe thinking about pulling some of those threads out as potentially things that we talk about with the new persons, plural, the new AB that gets elected, the new CEO that comes on board, but as means to kind of continuing to, engage. Oh yeah, somebody's fixed my.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's this is the new AB and CEO would be an opening to reach out to, talk about some of these things. I thought, I mean, Leah is obviously much more hands-on expert in some of these technologies. And I was reacting to stuff, 10 years ago when I was at Microsoft. But a lot of the issues, the fundamental issues about how the open source world relates to the open standards world haven't gone away. We've talked about them with Dom, you and I, Jory, I can't remember, Robin, who else, with Dom, who is now on the W3C board of directors. He seemed interested, but just a very challenging situation, both for the standards, since the open source projects are getting a lot more power over what actually ships, and they're not comfortable with that. But on the other hand, the customer base who we really serve are not happy with anybody going off in a closed room and deciding the future of a technology platform. So anyway, I think this should be an opening for a fruitful conversation with W3C, and we can close that issue, but open something more like what Leah said yesterday.
That's kind of what I was thinking. It's worth probably closing this issue, but somehow noting some of the themes for just tracking for future conversations, because it's I think going to be perennially relevant. So so maybe we will close, but I may also add the backlog label to it just as a way of tracking.
Yeah, I know. I mean, or we could open a new issue that's, or at least have some sort of to-do item that when there is a new CEO, to reach out to them, and maybe when the new AB is seated, reach out to them, and so the issue would be, is there a OpenJS consensus message on how the standards world and the open source world should work together? And so I guess the issue is, building a consensus on what we think the relationship would look like. Something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I like that. What would our consensus message be? Cool. Okay, so that's 219. We could spend more time on that, but because we have that other important action item, I want to keep going. We talked about the call for papers on 213. That's the working, secure the web forward workshop. Thought you might like that, Brian. The name of that, we thought of you when we came up with that.
Jory, we should post perhaps in our OpenJS Slack channels, either general, I'm open to general, or obviously the standards working group as well. And we have a security channel.
That's a good point. Post this issue / website to the general and security channels. We also I think a big part of it is making sure key folks who kind of walk in many of these spaces, like Jordan, for example, are aware of these of it and can help spread the word about to other folks about it too. So good action item. All right, so next is standards working group or standards group participation at OpenJS World. There are, we'll talk about the JS Landy Award here in a minute in private session. The other thing that we have going on is actually now two things. One is the summit or the Collab Summit, right, on Tuesday. So I've got an issue and open for doing a presentation there on Tuesday. And then the second new thing, hot off the presses new thing, is we've been curating additional themes for the OpenJS World Track. And one of the things that we want to highlight there is how our OpenJS web developer community has been contributing to web standards, and we're kind of bring in some of the history of how some of our projects have participated to date, some of the things that we're excited about going forward, like Winter CG, for example. And this is going to be something that I would love to have anybody from our group, and Jordan's already been volunteered for this, to do a panel on this topic. And so that's my question to you all. Is anyone else here planning to be in Vancouver to maybe be part of the conversation on Tuesday, and or I guess probably Wednesday or Thursday, whenever they book us for the OpenJS World spot? Joe will be around. Okay, cool. Joe, that's great. I'm volunteering Joe for something. Mr. Champion, are you planning on driving up I don't know how long a drive that is. I'd be like, oh, it's on the West Coast. That's what, like an hour? Like, that's 7 hours, Jory.
No, yeah, I unfortunately let my passport expire. Didn't just realize that. So and plus I have a community commitment board I'm on that the next weekend, so it'll be a bit too busy for me.
No, I understood. I actually, my passport is also going to expire, so I have to go stand in line and get it re-upped before, because I am outside the window. So anyway, cool. So those are the
Is
two
Joe
things.
checking his passport date?
Yeah, you're right. Joe's like, yeah, everybody's remembering.
I had a scare because I apparently left my passport at the house that I sold 8 months ago, but they found it and then they finally sent it to me. But when you mentioned the passport, I was like, oh shoot, I need to get a new passport. And I remember that they sent it to me, and it looks like it's good for a couple more years. So
Oh, good. Lucky.
yeah.
All right. Yeah. And apropos of nothing, check your passports, everyone. Check the expiration date. Cool. So there's that. And next issue is 173. This is the terms for subject matter participation. We're going to table this because there's not really too much of an update. My progress has been minimal on it. And the bigger conversation, time pressing conversation, is the JS Landia nominee discussion and recommendation task. So that's actually due yesterday. Sorry, Ben. So before we close a public session, does anybody have any other business or FYIs, or I also didn't make any calls for, sorry, y'all, anything to report from the TCs or working groups this week? All right, silence is a no. So cool. Then in that case, we are gonna close up public session today and say thanks to those of you who are watching the stream. We're going to have a conversation about the wonderful nominees for the JavaScript Landia Awards, and then make a recommendation to Robin so that person can be surprised when they hopefully get an award in a couple weeks. So we will see everyone once again. Let's see, our next meeting will be May the 2nd. So we'll see everybody back here